Chapter 40, Alley Cat. Frankly, Diana is getting a little sick of Freya. The two fought together many times on the ethereal plane, but never really spent any time together otherwise. Now, Freya acts like a lovesick schoolgirl around the would-be rock star, Apollo. They hold hands and she sneaks kisses when he's not looking. Diana's eyes are frequently mid-roll. The smitten new lovers walk around the corner following Diana. It's difficult to walk and French kiss at the same time, but certainly not impossible. While Diana keeps marching forward, Freya comes up for air. She sees a familiar face. She sees Coyote. Coyote lurks behind the dumpster, smoking an American Spirit. It's his third one in 15 minutes. He is growing antsy. Freya shakes loose of Apollo's loving grip and charges. Unfortunately, Coyote spies her before she can reach him. She halts about 6 feet before she arrives as Coyote pulls his firearm. "You might consider taking a few steps back there, gorgeous," Coyote says. "You have first-hand knowledge of how these weapons perform at long distances. Care to see what happens at point-blank range?" Freya freezes and slowly walks backward. "Let me tell you how this is going down," Coyote explains. "This can be easy, or it can be difficult. Apollo will die by my hand today. The only question remaining is, will there be 3 dead gods, or only one?" "There will only be one," Apollo answers. "For reasons unknown to me, you want me to die. This I cannot accept. But there is no reason to harm Freya or Diana in the process." "I'm glad you feel that way, Apollo. I've felt that if circumstances were different, perhaps we could have been friends." "I would hope that my friends would not attempt to have me killed. So, perhaps not." Coyote sighs. He addresses Diana and Freya. "You ladies might want to turn your backs for this. Apollo, I want you on your knees." "I think I'll stand," Apollo replies. The back door swings open. It is Bacchus. "Hey, Coyote," he says. "I was looking for the loo. I think I must have gotten turned around." Then he sees Apollo and dashes towards him. Coyote realizes it's way too crowded and makes a split-second decision to fire upon the god of music. His bullet lodges firmly in Bacchus' side and passes through into Apollo's torso. Bacchus falls to the ground. The bullet pierced his lung and he is fighting for breath. Apollo bleeds through his hands from his abdomen. Coyote raises the gun again, this time taking square aim at Apollo's head. He pulls the trigger. A clicking sound occurs. Coyote's gun, though loaded, as Hades assured him, had but the one bullet in the chamber and none in the clip. "Those bastards!" Coyote thinks for the briefest of seconds how he's been exploited. But the free-for-all he was hoping to avoid just leaped on his chest in the person of Freya. Freya is a wildcat. She barrages Coyote with right and left hands. She grabs him by his hair and slams his head to the concrete. Utterly defenseless against the wrath of Freya, Coyote simply curls himself into a ball and withstands the beating the best he can. Diana focuses on the injuries suffered by Apollo and Bacchus. She is no healing goddess by any stretch, but her police training included some basic first aid training. She hastily removes her blouse, hands it to Apollo, and orders him to apply pressure on his wound. From there, she addresses Bacchus. The wine god's situation is far direr. The bullet essentially exploded when it passed through his body. Diana rolls Bacchus onto his back and engages him mouth to mouth, but he leaks blood from his chest. She can't keep him breathing and covered at the same time. Apollo crawls over, removing Diana's blouse from his own wound and covers that of Bacchus. "Hey, Bacchus," Apollo says. "Wake up. My sister is topless." Bacchus strains an eye open and coughs. "Always wanted to see them before I died. You never let anyone near her. Well, a god's got to protect his twin. For all I know, you'd try and get her drunk and have sex with her." Bacchus smiles. "You know me well, brother." He goes sullen. "Apollo, am I going to die?" Apollo looks across the injured Bacchus at Diana. She frowns and stares back. Apollo nods. "I think so, my friend." "I had a good life," Bacchus reflects, "but not a great one. I was always a merrymaker. Never engaged in wars or celestial politics. Never really did anything of note. Bacchus, You just saved my life. You shall never be forgotten. A truer friend there never was. Bacchus turns to Diana. Please reach under my toga. There is something I want you to have. Diana flashes a quick glance to Apollo, but Apollo nods. She places her hand on Bacchus's leg and slowly moves up. She is in danger of reaching his testicles and hesitates. There's a package I need delivered to Olympus. It's just a little higher up my leg near my hip, Bacchus explains. Diana finds a small bundle of vine clippings. Careful, Bacchus says. Do not damage the grape seeds. When you return to the heavenly realms, I want you to give these clippings to Dionysus. Tell him they're a gift from his arch-rival. Tell him to plant them, and it will be like no wine he's ever experienced. The gunshot and ensuing melee draw the attention of Joe's patrons. Most flee out the front door away from the violence, but those from celestial dominions dash toward the sound. Triton and Kyrene reach the back door at the same time as Hades, Hel, and Anubis. As the five of them reach the exit, Triton attempts to block the doorway. We cannot go out there, he insists. Hades isn't sure he heard this son of Poseidon correctly. I sincerely doubt you are attempting to tell me what I can and cannot do. Triton quickly explains Asog and the death of gods. When this demon is released, it is our souls he shall seek to further energize himself. He will inhale our essence and grow more and more powerful. Hel loves this. He sounds exactly like the type of monster the underworld needs. We shall gladly set him free. No, that would be suicide. He will not recognize you as from the darkness. He understands only power. He will devour us all. Perhaps we could train him, Hel wonders aloud. While Triton is attempting to engage Hades in desperate conversation, the petite Kyrene slips beneath his arms and forces open the door. In a flash, she dashes through the emergency exit and into the alley. The alarm on the door blares. The first thing Kyrene sees is Freya beating the hell out of Coyote. Freya is now standing over him, kicking him in the stomach and stomping on his ribs. Kyrene hasn't witnessed this level of violence in over 1,000 years. She doesn't know Freya personally, but certainly knows her by reputation. She thought Coyote was a friend, but obviously, Freya feels differently. One thing is clear, Kyrene is not going to intervene. Diana kneels over a body. At first, Kyrene is distracted because of Diana topless. It's all too much for her, like information overload. Then, she sees the object of her affection, Apollo. He's sitting cross-legged next to the body. She finally recognizes the god lying on his back. It's Bacchus, and he's barely moving. Kyrene bypasses Apollo and goes straight to Bacchus' side. Tears stream down her face. Despite her romantic interest in Apollo, she recognizes that Bacchus is her best friend. The two had so many wonderful times together, and she took him for granted. She falls to the ground and crawls to his side. Bacchus, she asks. Bacchus, can you hear me? Bacchus slips in and out of consciousness. Kyrene, he mumbles. Sorry you have to see me this way. You're going to be all right, Kyrene promises. We'll go back to the realms and get you put back together. She cradles his head in her arms. Please hang on. A portal will open and we'll celebrate at Heaven's Bar. Bacchus smiles sadly. I may have to take a rain check, he says. Kyrene glances at Diana. Diana looks grim. You can't die, Kyrene insists. I won't allow it. She looks at Apollo and begins beating his chest. You're a healing god. Heal. Apollo shakes his head. Kyrene, I'm powerless here. There is nothing I can do. But he's suffering. Surely someone can do something. Anything. A bullet breezes by Apollo's head and lodges squarely in Bacchus' skull. Bacchus dies instantly. All turn and see Hel standing with a smoking gun. She shrugs. He was going to die in agony. I just sped up the process. You should really thank me. He was suffering. By now, Coyote is unconscious. Freya, in a combination of anger and shock, leaps to confront Hel. What did you do? Freya asks. I put him down. I know a bit more about death than you, Hel replies. I'm going to kill you, Freya blurts. Having given up on sealing the exit, Triton steps between the angry Norse goddesses. No one else can die, or the consequences will be catastrophic. Freya grabs Triton by his collar and throws him aside. She stands about an inch away from Hel. You know, Death, who fought with our warriors? Who led them to Sesrenir when they fell in battle? And who took pity on the sick and aged? Bacchus was no warrior. His demise is clearly my domain, Hel asserts. I do not think you realize what is about to happen to you. I will beat you until you beg to die. Let's not forget who holds the weapon, Freya. One move, and you join that wine god in a pool of blood. Triton struggles to his feet. Goddesses, he pleads, we no longer have the luxury to kill one another. We need to wait until a portal opens. Once we safely return to the heavenly realms, you can fight to your heart's content. Anubis doubles over with laughter. All eyes now focus on him. What's so damned funny? Apollo demands. There's but one portal, and it is now controlled by Set. The only one of us returning from Earth is me. How cute that you think that, Hades says, before driving his switchblade into Anubis's ear.